We'll start with a quick recap of what is heat capacity and specific heat capacity and what is the difference between the two. I take a situation of a bronze statue of Buddha, which was discovered in 2018 in an auction in London by somebody, and they thought that this was a statue that went missing in 1961 actually from Nalanda. Okay, and because of the style of the statue and the way it was made, the person thought that this could have been that particular statue. Now we had to claim that statue, saying that this statue belongs to India, to a museum in India, and it has to be returned to that place. But then how would you argue this out? Okay, so one way to do it is, one way that they recognized they could do this is, and this part of it is my own story. I'm cooking this up. I don't know how exactly it was done. They look at historical records rather than properties, but I would say that this is an important way of finding it. They knew that the bronze statues that were made in that era had a specific mix of bronze, which is a alloy of copper and tin, which gave it a specific heat capacity of 430 joules per kilogram degree Celsius. So all bronze made in that particular era by that particular set of metallurgists and artists had the specific heat capacity that is around 430 joules per kg degree Celsius. So one way in which they could narrow down the scope of their investigation was to see if the bronze of this particular statue also conformed to the same specific heat capacity. So how would they go about doing this? So this is where the syllabus part of it is kicks in. So first thing is to find out its heat capacity. Okay, so heat capacity which is given the symbol C prime in our textbook. Okay, for some reason they give it as C prime. That C prime can be found out as being the amount of heat that was provided to this statue divided by the change in temperature through which it goes. Okay, and I had calculated some numbers in my head. I think, wait, if I can remember it, it is something like 22,000 joules divided by delta T, which is 50 minus 25 degree Celsius. So it was put in some kind of a machine which can measure the amount of energy supplied, probably through electricity, and then it can also measure the temperature of the bronze statues rise. Okay, and by doing this calculation you can arrive at 22,000. One of you guys quickly do the math. Divided by 25. Okay, so what is the answer to that? Whatever the answer is to that, that gives you your heat capacity. Okay, and that heat capacity, if I am not mistaken, should come to 880 joules per degree Celsius. Okay, and unfortunately 880 is not the same as 430, so therefore this is not that bronze. Or am I making a mistake? I am tricking you, so you people have to tell me the next part of it. Oh yeah, oh sorry, you guys can't speak, so you'll have to send a message. Okay, so I'm sure some of you realized what the fault was. I have found out heat capacity, not specific heat capacity. All right, and this quantity over here is actually what is known as the specific heat capacity. This is for the bronze statue, but this is for that bronze. Okay, and what is the difference between the two things is that the bronze statue has a certain mass. So this is the amount of energy that is required to raise the temperature of the entire bronze statue by 1 degree Celsius. Okay, so therefore this doesn't count for it. So next thing that you should do is you should find out the mass of the statue, and the mass of the statue was established to be approximately 2 kilograms. Okay, so now we have to find out what is the specific heat capacity. Okay, and the specific heat capacity is of course the amount of energy required to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of that substance by 1 degree Celsius. Okay, so specific heat capacity, which is given the symbol C. C is equal to C prime, that is heat capacity, divided by its mass. Okay, so when you do that, you will easily see 880, because that is the C prime, right? We got that from here. 880 divided by 2. And what does that give you? 440 joules per degree Celsius. Okay, joules per, it's written this way. You can write it degree Celsius kilogram or as joules per kilogram degree Celsius. And that value of 440 joules per kg degree Celsius, which is its specific heat capacity, is pretty close to the specific heat capacity of the bronze made in that era by that particular metallurgist. So therefore, that gives us a clue that this bronze statue could have been the same bronze statue that went missing from the Nalanda Museum in 1961. The real story is that in 2018, when it was identified and evidence was given, the owner, the current owners of that bronze statue, were more than happy to just return it to us, because according to them, it was just some family heirloom that happened to come into their hands, and they do not know what its antecedents was. There seemed to be no evidence of them having purchased it from somebody. And since it was proven beyond doubt that it was something that was taken away from India, independent India, therefore it had to be returned, and it was indeed returned and restored. This is the story. I haven't checked the background of it, but I thought that it was a good illustration of what is heat capacity and specific heat capacity. Unfortunately, I can't ask you questions because I can't ask if you have questions because I can't hear you. But if you send something to the chat, I'll be happy to take it up.